record. I've got the screen recording now.
Okay.
So don't be playing with your titties.
Don't tell people that.
Anyway, I got.
I was adjusting my shirt, so we had to delete that.
Go ahead.
You guys don't know what it's like to be a girl and when it's hot.
I do.
They get sweaty.
New episode. We are going to go.
July 2025.
No,
Waiting here to just tell you, confirm clear.
I like our new chairs and setup. The only
I
thing
do
is
too.
you are shorter than me now.
Okay. We'll start the live stream now. Start now. New live stream. So what we doing this over, babe?
This is going to be over all the ghost ships, the Octavius, the Mary Celeste, and there's some other ones too we can pull up. They're really interesting. I think it's going to be good.
Alright, so Crystal and Sean. Oh. The fly is bugging me.
It's that time of year now. I feel like temperature was 95 today outside. Ugh.
Every time I start typing, it starts landing on the back of my hand, and it's really
It's
irritating.
teasing you. It's taunting you.
See, now it's got me all over the place. How do you spell ghastly?
Ghastly?
Yeah. Oh, it's ghastly.
Ghastly. It's okay, Dealey. You can get your toy and lay
Okay.
down.
Crystal and Sean are going to board a few ghastly ghost ships. Alright, doing.
Okay.
We are going to start that. And what else we need to do is, hell, we ain't ready yet. We
Our
gotta go.
pod area looks so much better now.
It does.
I worked hard on that today.
I'm gonna text them and say, hey, we're gonna go Podbean Live.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh. Hey guys. Who you at? Hey you guys. Crystal and I are going Podbean Live. Yeah, okay.
How you doing?
Okay, here we go.
No,
We're
you
going-
can't get in this area.
We want to turn this one this way because we got to be able to hear each other.
Yes.
That one. See that one? Okay.
I see it.
Hit and record. Coming to you from the inner sanctum of the Big Blue House in the middle of nowhere. This is Paranormal Adventures with your host, Sean
And Crystal.
and Crystal. Hey, baby. What's up?
Not much. What's up with you?
Oh, we just got toned out to a fire. Well, we didn't actually get toned out. We were waiting to get toned out to a mutual aid fire, so we didn't go. We were going to go to
Yeah,
a fort.
I didn't think we were going to do our show tonight. I thought we were going to have to do it tomorrow, but we're able to do
But
it
we
tonight.
are
so
good.
Yay.
Woohoo.
So tonight we're talking about ghost ships. There's some really mysterious and interesting ones out there. The Octavius being the one that I thought was like the coolest and
We might
craziest.
turn that down.
I'm gonna hand you that. So it was the first ship to ever attempt the Northwest Passage, and it was kind of tragic, really, because he was trying to take a shortcut from the Orient back to Europe, to England, Britain, and The ship actually, this was in the 1700s, which I'll give y'all dates and specifics here in a minute, but the ship got stuck in ice. And basically they ran out of supplies because they were stuck in the ice and couldn't go anywhere. And all 28 crew aboard, captain and all, they froze to death.
Now, did they look like the kind of frozen mommy looking?
Yes, they were preserved because they were frozen. In fact, the captain was still sitting at his captain's desk with his pen in his hand and his journal out. And the journal was frozen, so they only got like the first page and like the last couple pages, and everything in between was ruined. It was frozen, so.
It looks like that they would be able to thaw it and dry it somehow.
For whatever reason, they only got those few pages, so it still kind of remains a bit of a mystery. But I'm going to go ahead. I have this pulled up so I can read to you guys about the Octavius, and then I'll let my other half here make comments or whatever he needs to do.
You did most of the research, so I'll be commenting on this one.
I told you to do research.
Well, I was busy.
He was busy with his boat after he got done with work. So, fishing, boat.
Anyway. And we're talking about ghost boats.
I know, and we're talking about ghost boats.
This one should be a ghost.
It should be, as much work as you've done. Anyway, the Octavius was a legendary 18th century ghost ship. According to the story, the three-masted schooner was found west of Greenland by the whaler Herald on October 11th, 1775. Boarded as a derelict, the 5-man boarding party found the entire crew of 28 below deck, dead, frozen, and almost perfectly preserved.
Do you know what a mast is?
It's the mast of the ship.
But do you know what a mast is? It's what holds the sails.
Okay.
So it has 3 sets of sails.
The history on the Octavius is a British ship. It was in service before 1761 and out of service 1762. Fate, trapped in sea ice, all hands lost. Found derelict in 1775. The captain's body was supposedly still at the table in his cabin, pen in hand, exactly as the schooner Jenny legend, with the captain's log in front of him. In his cabin were also the bodies of a woman, a nude boy covered with a blanket, and a sailor with a tinderbox. The boarding party took only the captain's log before leaving the vessel because they were unwilling to search it. The last entry in the log,
We're dead.
November 11th, 1762, which meant that the ship had been lost in the Arctic for 13 years. As the log was frozen, it slipped from the binding, leaving only the first and last few pages in. So that was like what had happened with the journal.
So did they like quickly freeze them?
I don't know how long it took them to freeze, honestly, but it was out there by itself for 13 years. So
That
I
was just my question.
imagine it's a mystery. I guess nobody would know since they all perished. But my theory is they were out there stuck as long as they could, surviving for a while on their supplies till they just froze to death, because you're going to run out of oil and stuff to keep the ship warm.
Well, that's when you start tearing the ship apart and burning the wood.
Well, they didn't
Take
think
the
to
axe
do
and
that.
Take the axe and chop the mast down, and you got firewood.
Well, maybe he thought they would get unfroze or someone would come by and save
13
them.
years later, they were still froze.
Yeah, I know. It finally made it through the Northwest Passage all right. After 13 years, it landed on the coast of Greenland.
That was a heck of a shortcut.
No kidding, right? 13 years and freeze to death. But he thought he was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm going to pull up the other one.
So everybody knows the Northwest Passage is what, going up around the top of Canton. I'm trying to Get you to do stuff. It's your episode.
This is our episode, baby.
Yeah. Our episode. See here.
I'm gonna pull up the Mary Celeste for next, but yeah, look it up. But I know that. See, they had gone from Britain to the Orient, and they had gone the long way around. And so, in his opinion, this was going to save a lot of time, and they'd be able to get their cargo back quicker. But he was the first one to actually attempt that Northwest Passage at the time, and this was, 1762. So
I don't guess I ever realized that Greenland was so much more north of Canada.
Yeah, it's north of Canada. Yeah.
No wonder it hit Greenland.
I wonder if there's any way you could put that to the camera so they could see that map. But
I don't know. The Northwest Passage is a series of water routes across the Arctic, connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans through Canada's Arctic archipelago. It's a challenging sea route that has historically been covered in ice for most of the year, but with climate change it's becoming more accessible. Anyway,
yeah, so back then it would have been really treacherous.
yeah, and nowadays we've got the ships that can bust the ice and stuff.
Yeah,
and
not these wood ships back then.
Well, they had wood ships that could do that too. The ships now are made completely of metal.
Yeah.
Metal, but these wood ships that they had back then, if I remember right, they put a sheet of metal on the front to be able to bust through the ice. It was either that or they put extra reinforcement, like extra wood and stuff on the front to bust through the ice.
Of course, I guess they didn't do that in like 1762.
Well, they wouldn't have done it to that ship because that's not the way he was supposed to have gone anyway.
No.
Because he was a freaking idiot.
He killed his whole crew, but...
They all did.
It was crazy, alright, but I just thought it was a really interesting story, though. Yeah. And that he would even attempt that, instead of just...
Oh, let's save some time. 13 years later, we're all dead.
Yeah. But, so that was really cool, I thought, and then...
Mr. Craig is joined us.
Oh, hey, Craig. How's it going?
Our fellow podcaster from Supernatural.
Yes, from the Supernatural Roundtable.
Anyway, so
they could have smuggled Hitler through the Northwest Passage.
They very well could have.
They took the submarine to the Northwest Passage.
No, Hitler is in the Hollow Earth, and he went through the Northwest Passage
to the Hollow Earth
to get to the entrance of the Hollow Earth. Thank you.
There you go. We got it.
But he was said to be seen in the Antarctic, so he went through the southwest.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, he went through the Antarctic and then ended up in South America.
It's the Southwest Passage into the Hollow
Southwest Passage. Okay. Oh my word, babe. You're a mess.
He entered the Hollow Earth from the southern entrance.
Oh goodness.
Those are the bad Hollow Earthers.
It is tragic though that happened.
Anyway.
But anyway, I want to go on to
continue to the next one, please.
Yes, and I'm going to continue on to the Mary Celeste. I don't know if a lot of you are already familiar with this. The Mary Celeste is one of the most famous ones out there. Oh, we are going to talk about the Flying Dutchman too. That's very famous. Yes, we need to pull up the Flying Dutchman as well. Okay, so the Mary Celeste was a Canadian-built. It was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant. Let's see. Brigantine found adrift and deserted in the Atlantic Ocean. This was a little bit later as far as the year. This was December 4th of 1872. The ship was in a disheveled but seaworthy condition with its lifeboat missing.
They got away.
Listen, but its cargo and provisions intact. Nothing taken, nothing stolen. The fate of the ship's crew, including Captain Benjamin S. Briggs and his family and 8 crew members, remains one of the most enduring maritime mysteries. They have not solved this thing till this day. And it was Captain Briggs, his wife, his 2 little daughters, and I guess it was, this says 8 crew members, but I watched something that said 7.
The USOs,
I mean the USOs.
the unidentified submerged objects, they escaped because they saw the lights from the USOs, got on the lifeboat, and boom, they were taken.
Oh my.
Mystery solved.
Well, they have not solved it yet.
I just solved it.
Okay. Uh, the mystery abandoned yet intact. The Mary Celeste was found with its cargo of alcohol, personal belongings, and ample provisions intact. So there was a theory of a pirate, like hijacking.
The daddy was drunk.
No, nothing was touched. Now, they were thinking a pirate attack and that they kidnapped and killed the family, but the problem with that theory is none of the alcohol, none of the cargo was taken. They would be pretty lousy pirates if they didn't take anything, because that's what pirates do. So they would have wanted the alcohol for sure. So it says missing crew. The captain and his family, 8 crew members are missing with no trace what happened to them. Logbook clues. It says the last entry in the captain's log was 10 days prior, suggesting a sudden abandonment. So we don't know what would make it so sudden. They haven't.
They said, we out?
Definitely. The lifeboat was missing. The absence of the lifeboat further fueled speculation about the crew's fate. Theories. They say that there may have been an explosion. The Mary Celeste carried barrels of industrial alcohol. Some theorize that fumes could have leaked and the crew may have evacuated fearing an explosion. But where did they go?
An island.
Sea monster or pirate attack. While these theories were popular at the time, modern investigations haven't found evidence to support them. Now,
on the old maps,
yeah,
in the middle of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean,
yeah,
it says there be monsters in the middle of the oceans.
It could have been.
There's a kraken.
The kraken got them.
The
There are giant squid though, and they just discovered those like, what was that? The 90s. The giant squid.
So the daddy and the rest of the crew got drunk and said, "Holy crap! There's a big old squid down there." Jumped in the lifeboat and the squid said, "Yummy, yummy," and gobbled them all up.
I don't know.
I don't either. That's kind of weird though.
Here's like 2 more things it says. So it says rough seas. The Atlantic weather was severe during that period in time. And some suggest the crew may have been caught in a violent storm leading to their disappearance.
They very well could have capsized or something.
Yeah, or one of those, what do you call them, rogue waves? Those really bad rogue waves. It says unexplained event. Theories range from natural disasters to unidentified events that led to the crew's abandonment. So, I mean, that's really probably about all I can really say about it, but it is, one of the ghost ships that's like one of the most famous. So, and to this day, they've never figured out who took the crew, or if anybody took the crew. Did they leave? Did something happen to them? I mean, it's just one of those big mysteries. but it was floating intact by itself. Which I think, let me pull that up. I think there was that too.
So, here's you were talking about the giant squid.
Yes.
There is a large squid known as the colossal squid. Until 2005, nobody had ever seen a giant squid that was alive. Only dead giant squids had been found. On September 30th, 2004, researchers from Japan took the first images of a live giant squid in its natural habitat. So, our live ones had never been seen till 2004, 2005.
Oh, wow.
Nobody ever
So, I
seen,
mean, yeah.
they had found dead ones, but nobody's ever seen one alive.
Wow, that's pretty neat. So, I mean, you just never know what could have happened. I did find some more I could pull up. Which, again, this was, well, this is the beginning of the voyage. It says on October 20. Oh, before I read this, I did watch like a little bit of a documentary thing, and apparently the ship was doomed from the beginning. It was actually under a different name, and it was nothing but trouble from owner to owner. And so there was this one guy that bought it, and he renamed it the Mary Celeste and put like work into the ship, and then the bank pretty much took it from him from non-payment. He couldn't pay for it, so then it ended up to somebody else and somebody else, and anyway, down the line it ends up in the hands of Captain Briggs. He owned it and was trying to do cargo,
Every time
transporting.
every time I hear the name Briggs, I think of Briggs and Stratton,
What's Briggs and Stratton?
an engine,
Oh, okay.
like lawnmower engine, stuff like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it ended up in his hands, and so now since y'all have a little of the history, it was kind of a doomed ship from the get-go. It's kind of one of those things. The two guys that did the kind of documentary podcast thing said they were kind of joking about it, like, "Why would you buy a ghost ship?" And the guy goes, "The same reason you'd buy a haunted house,
It's cheap.
Yeah, that's what he
Dude.
said. That's what he said too.
If I could get a ship cheap, I'd buy one
Yeah,
too. I
right.
don't care if it's haunted.
So, okay, so on October 20th, 1872, Briggs arrives at Pier 50 on the East River in New York City to supervise the loading of the ship's cargo of 1,701 barrels of alcohol.
Yay.
His wife and infant daughter joined him a week later. On Sunday, November 3rd, Briggs wrote to his mother to say that he intended to leave on Tuesday, adding that our vessel is in beautiful trim and I hope we shall have a fine passage. Oops.
They didn't.
One morning, on the morning of Tuesday, November 5th, Mary Celeste left Pier 50 with Briggs' wife and daughter and 7 crew members. Let's see, the weather was uncertain and Briggs decided to wait for better conditions. He anchored the ship just off of Staten Island. It says where Sarah used to delay to send a final letter to her mother-in-law. I don't know, I guess they were just letting them know, hey, we're leaving or whatever. The weather eased 2 days later and Mary Celeste left the harbor and entered the Atlantic. While Mary Celeste prepared to sail the Canadian brigantine De Gracia, De Gracia,
Oh,
it lay nearby in Hoboken, New Jersey. Let's see. So this is just giving some of this, I guess, as they're getting ready to head out. It's basically like what they were doing to leave. So they were on their way basically from New York to Italy, from what I saw in the documentary too, just off the coast of Italy. And I believe, and I'll read more on this, but I believe the Mary Celeste was found very close to like the Sea of Gibraltar, is where it was. It was found floating by itself. So, let me look. I'm going to skip ahead here. So, it says about 1 p.m. on Wednesday, December 4th, 1872, land time, Captain Morehouse came on deck and the helmsman reported a vessel heading unsteadily towards Del Gracia at a distance of about 6 miles. The ship's erratic movements and the odd set of her sails led Morehouse to suspect that something was wrong.
Oh, no crap.
As the vessel drew closer, he could see nobody on deck, and he received no reply to his signals.
They were gone.
So he sent Devanu and second mate John Wright in a shipboat to investigate.
He wasn't going. He's like, y'all go check it out.
Yeah, y'all go check it out.
We ain't doing this.
The pair established that this was the Mary Celeste by the name on her stern. They then climbed aboard and found the ship deserted. The sails were partly set and in a poor condition, some missing altogether.
Really? Really? What do you expect from a ghost ship? A ghost ain't gonna be able to grab the sail and fix it.
And much of the rigging was damaged, with ropes hanging loosely over the sides. The main hatch over the secure, but the fore and lazarette hatches were open.
I don't even know what those are.
I don't know. There are covers beside them on the deck. Let's see. The ship's single lifeboat was a small yawl that had apparently been stowed across the main hatch, but it was missing. So the little lifeboat thing was missing. While the bionicle housing, the ship's compass had shifted from its place and its glass cover was broken. There was about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, a significant but not alarming amount for a ship of its size. A makeshift sounding rod, a device for measuring the amount of water in the hold, was found abandoned on the deck.
They were thinking they were sinking.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's one of the theories.
And they got on the lifeboat.
Yeah.
And then a storm came up and flipped the lifeboat, and they all drowned it. Then the giant squid destroyed the lifeboat.
Or they ate them. The squid ate them.
The squid was more worried about the lifeboat. It's like, y'all come into my territory. Y'all ain't going nowhere. So, you screwed.
And there's a bunch of theories, it says. There was another theory posits that Briggs and Morehouse were partners in a conspiracy to share the salvage proceeds, although no evidence exists of a friendship between the two captains. Hicks comments that if Morehouse and Briggs had been planning such a scam, they would have devised such an attention-drawing mystery. He also asked why Briggs abandoned his son Arthur if he had intended to disappear permanently. So, it's a bunch, like I said, there's a bunch of theories. Everything from pirates to them having an emergency and leaving the ship to, I mean, it's just like all kinds. The conspiracy that they were in on it to get the money for the ship being lost at sea. And
So, hear me out. Here, I don't know if you heard. Here recently, a guy got scooped up by a whale. Got joned into a whale's mouth, and the whale actually spit him out on the land. Like, get out.
Yeah.
So, these dudes are all floating around out there in the ocean, and you know how whales jump up out of the water.
Yeah.
The whale jumped up with his mouth open, grabbed his boat, crushed the end of him, came down, and they all died.
So that's what you think happened.
Exactly.
I don't know. I can't say. They have a lot of theories, so I guess it's just always going to be a mystery for me. But.
So we just had another person show up in our feed, and the name was Peaceful, Hard, Healthy Walking Enthusiast. Big long name.
Oh, okay.
And they left.
Oh.
They heard us talking about the whale and they left.
Oh.
So.
Well,
whatever.
we're glad you stopped by anyway.
They can't hear us no more.
Well, anyway. um. So there's a lot of theories on that. I've always been fascinated by it, and some of these ghost ships, like the Mary Celeste and that, they came up with a lot of these old legends to make the movie Ghost Ship. Did you ever watch that one?
No.
Oh my goodness, you need to watch it. It's scary. You'll like it. It's
I
a
don't
creepy
like ghost
movie.
ships.
It's scary. It's a scary movie, Ghost Ship. But anyway, I'm gonna look up. We were gonna talk about
The Flying Dutchman.
the Flying Dutchman. Thank you.
He floated on out of here.
The Flying Dutchman is actually a very famous ship as well.
Is that one of the pirate ships?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard the name about it. Was it Blackbeard's ship?
Well, you might have heard like the Flying Dutchman
From
Pirates of the Caribbean,
Probably.
but because it's a famous ship, so they had to put it in there. Davy Jones' locker.
You know pirate dude.
Yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies though.
Eh. It is all about Johnny Depp being.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Well, he was dehydrated. The whole time he was having delusions because he's dehydrated.
Maybe he drank too much rum.
He was dehydrated because he drank too much rum.
Too much rum. Don't forget how he roped the sea turtle. With that. Yeah. That was like the thing. Of course, it wasn't true, but anyway, yeah.
I roped a snapping turtle.
Oh my word!
I
Sean.
did. One of them big alligator snappers. He was in the middle of the road. I took a rope and he tried to bite my foot.
Okay, so this is a picture. There's some.
Peaceful heart is returned.
Oh, hello,
Yeah.
hello,
Welcome back,
Peaceful
Peace.
Heart. Glad to see you. Thanks for stopping by
Again.
again. We always like our listeners.
We do.
We appreciate you, each and every one of you. Let's see. So we're talking about the Flying Dutchman.
Fine.
This was a very, very famous ghost ship. This was a legendary ghost ship. Allegedly never able to make port, but doomed to sail the sea forever. Which they do mention that in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It was cursed. So, but
Isn't that the one that the chick's boyfriend ended up on?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. I've only seen the movies once.
He was Bootstrap Bill's son, Will Turner.
I don't know.
Anyway, the myths and ghost stories are likely to have originated from the 17th century golden age of the Dutch East India Company and of the Dutch maritime power. The oldest known extant version of the legend dates from the late 18th century. According to the legend, if hailed by another ship, the crew of the Flying Dutchman might try to send messages to land or to people long dead. Reporting sightings in the 19th and 20th centuries claimed that the ship glowed with a ghostly light.
I bet it was green.
Could be. In ocean lore, the sight of the Phantom ship functions as a portent of doom. It was commonly believed that the Flying Dutchman was a 17th century cargo vessel known as a flaunt. Flaunt. I like to say that. It sounds French. Flaunt. Origins. Oh, a lot of these pictures, I'm going to try to post on Facebook some maps of the Northwest Passage and some other interesting things. I'm going to try to get those on our page, which is Paranormal Adventures with Sean and Crystal on Facebook,
Yes.
so that you guys can see some of the things that I'm seeing as I'm reading some of this to you guys. Because there's a lot of interesting pictures and things too. So, I'm I'm trying to see what this is. The first known prints. Okay, never mind. That was a magazine picture. And this says, I guess these are just maybe accounts or things of other people, but it says, I had often heard of the superstition of sailors respecting apparitions and doom, but had never given much credit to the report. It seems that some years since a Dutchman of war was lost off the Cape of Good Hope, and every soul on board perished. Her consort weathered the gale and arrived soon after at the Cape. Having refitted and returning to Europe, they were assailed by a violent tempest nearly in the same latitude. In the night watch, some of the people saw, or imagined they saw, a vessel standing for them under a press of sail, as though she would run them down. One in particular affirmed it was the ship that had foundered in the former gale, and that it must certainly be her, or the apparition of her. But on its clearing up, the object, a dark, thick cloud, disappeared. Nothing could do away the idea of this phenomenon on the minds of the sailors and on their relating the circumstances. When they arrived in port, the story spread like wildfire, and the supposed phantom was called the Flying Dutchman.
Ooh.
From the Dutch, the English seamen got the infatuation, and there are very few Indiamen, but what has one on board who pretends to have seen the apparition. So that was kind of neat.
Hey, so we had another person come in.
Yeah.
Eric Lawson Fraser. He came in, was like, hey, he done left.
Oh, hello, Eric.
He done left, he didn't hear you.
I was still on there listening, but I just typed, when I had a question or wanted to say something the other day. Okay, so...
Hey, thank you, Peaceful. They have liked the show and followed the host.
Oh, great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Peaceful. Let's see. Okay, Thomas More, 1779 to 1852, places the vessel in the North Atlantic in his poem written on passing Dead Man's Island in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Late in the evening, September 1804, fast gliding along a gloomy bark, her sails are full though the wind is still, and there blows not a breath her sails to fill. A footnote adds, the above lines were suggested by a superstition very common among sailors who called the ghost ship, I think, the Flying Dutchman. So these are all like accounts. So these are a lot of famous people. This is Sir Walter Scott, and this was 1771 to 1832.
Why did I know that name?
I think he was during that time. I forget who was the queen at the time, but
It was a knot.
could have been.
Sirs or knots.
He was a friend of John Leyden's. Was the first to refer to the vessel as a pirate ship. So there you go. You were always saying that was a pirate ship,
Oh, that's why I've heard of him. He's a Scottish poet.
Okay.
He wrote poetry.
He was writing in his notes to Rokeby, first published December of 1812, that the ship was originally a vessel loaded with great wealth, on board of which some horrid act of murder and piracy
No doubt.
had been committed, and that the apparition of the ship is considered by the mariners as the worst of all possible omens.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. According to some sources, 17th century Dutch captain Bernard Folk, that's Fokke, is the model for the captain of the ghost ship. Folk was renowned for the speed of his trips from the Netherlands to Java and was suspected of being in league with the devil.
Huh.
Yeah. The first version of the legend was a story that was printed in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine, May 1821, which puts the scene as the Cape of Good Hope. The story names the Dutchman's captain as Hendrik van der Decken and introduces the motifs elaborated by later writers. Let's see, to people long dead being offered to the ships for delivery, but if accepted will bring misfortune, and the captain having sworn to round the Cape of Good Hope, though it should take until the day of judgment.
Huh.
So that's like pretty much for a long time, or almost eternity, huh? Or till judgment anyway.
So you mentioned the Cape of Good Hope. You know
Yeah.
where that's at?
Where?
You know, it's the tip of Africa.
Oh.
You know, when you come down to the bottom of Africa and come around,
Yeah.
that's where the African or the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans meet.
Well, that would make sense.
And that's the route that, you know, like Europeans would take to go
Yeah.
around to, like,
And the Dutchman was supposed to be
Japan,
part of the
Asia.
East India Company and associated with the piracy, so that would make sense that it would be around that area, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it marks a. It says marking a key point for sea routes between Europe and Asia. Anyway.
There's reported sightings, so, and it says even in the 20th century, people were having sightings of the Flying Dutchman.
Hmm.
So it says there have been many reported and alleged sightings in the 19th and 20th centuries. A well-known sighting was by Prince George of Wales, the future King George the Fifth, I guess it would be the fifth. He was on the 3-year voyage during his late adolescence in 1880 with his elder brother Prince Albert Victor of Wales
Okay.
and their tutor John Neil Dalton. They temporarily shipped into HMS Inconstant. After the damaged rudder was repaired in their original ship, the 4,000-ton Corvette Bachant, I guess so. The Prince's log enter it as to which prince, due to later editing. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but anyway, they apparently had a sighting on July 4th at 4 a.m. The Flying Dutchman crossed our bows.
Happy 4th.
I know, right? It says a strange red light.
That was the fireworks from the United
See,
States.
you said it was green light around. It says a strange red light as of a phantom ship.
It's a
aglow.
demonic ship then.
Well, yeah, it's an evil ship. That's what I've been saying, dude. It's evil.
If it was green, it was going to be alien.
Well, it's evil, so it's glowing red. So,
It's on fire.
you made me lose my place. So it was a strange red light as of a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which the mast, spars, and sails of brig 200 yards distant stood out in strong relief. As she came up on the port bow, where also the officer of the watch from the bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle. But on arriving, there was no vestige nor any sign whatsoever of any material ship was to be seen. I know, either near or right away to the horizon. Yeah, so they saw it and then it just disappeared.
Should have shot it when they had the chance.
You can't shoot a ghost ship.
Sure you can.
It was glowing red. It's like a ghost ship.
The cannonball might have gone right through it, but you can still shoot it.
Okay. Let's see. Anyway, I guess that's what I have on that. If you wanted to look up some more about that.
Well, we've been going for over 40 minutes.
Okay.
So.
That one just really intrigues me because that one's actually been seen as a ghost ship. The other two are really cool and really mysterious, though. And like the Octavius is so sad, but I mean, it's so crazy to me that it was out there just doing its thing for 13 years until it's found on the coast of Greenland. That just blows my mind.
What's even weirder is the folks in the
right, yeah.
life raft.
Yeah, that was just really crazy to me and sad, that they all just froze and it was like they were frozen in time when they were found because they were so preserved. That creeps me out quite a bit.
I think it's cool.
It is cool. It's mysterious and cool.
Heart.
Yes, heart. But yeah, I like all of those. I like that the Flying Dutchman though is more like apparition and ghost, and you know me and ghost. I like that stuff. So, but like I said, a lot of these ghost ships, and there's like a ton of them out there that can be researched. I mean, just look it up. I found some pretty interesting cases. And then like I said, a lot of these stories that have gone around forever for these ghost ships inspired some of the horror movies out there, like Ghost Ship, which is a really good movie.
So,
if you like scary movies.
with all that, I think we ought to start kind of wrapping it up now, though.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You wanted to tag some other podcasts? A shout out?
So I did a couple shout outs Wednesday for a couple podcasts, and so I know Craig's listening. He already knows all about the other show, but Peaceful, we have another show called the Supernatural Roundtable that we do bi-weekly. It's me, Craig, and Richard that normally do that. So.
And then sometimes I do sit in with the boys.
Crystal hops in on it, and so does my son. Will hop in on it some too.
Yeah.
He was on the last one, but on that one we've got we're coming up to an episode. Our next episode is going to be Project Paperclip.
Yeah, that sounded really interesting.
Which that would be pretty interesting. Then
that's a lot of conspiracy, Russian conspiracy in Germany, right? It kind of ties into the
Japanese,
Hitler.
I think.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I knew it was
same time
around.
period.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
it sounds really interesting.
Then that won't be this Wednesday. It should be next Wednesday that we do that. But between now and then, Crystal and I should have another episode.
Yeah, we should have another one
before we put that one out. But we don't, on our show, we don't really advertise what we're doing because we really don't know.
Yeah, sometimes we just kind of think about a topic, and if you guys want to help us out too, or if there's a topic you'd like us to talk about, and we'd be glad to research it and do it, just shoot us a message. Like I said, our Facebook page is the Paranormal Adventures with Sean and Crystal on Facebook, and you can send us over a request to join. I'll be glad to add you. So you can shoot us a message on that, or what's our email address?
What's the email? Do you even know? Paranormal Adventures 2.
2, the number 2.
at gmail.com.
Yes. Yeah, we'd love to hear from y'all, and if there's anything, like I said, we're open to any ideas y'all have to. We'd be glad to talk about it. So.
Yep. Anyway.
Definitely we cover everything. I mean, we cover aliens, supernatural, spiritual gifts. I myself am an empath. We cover cryptids. smuggling Hitler to South America. Just about any kind of topic you can think of, anything paranormal. So y'all just shoot us your ideas. We'll be glad to talk about it.
So, anyway, we didn't give out a shout out to any of the shows.
Yeah, go ahead.
But, the ones I did on last show was, the Grounded Galactic Twins, which is an Arkansas-based podcast. And so is, what was the other show?
You're going to have to think about that for just a minute, huh?
Afterlife Hotline?
Afterlife Hotline, and they're
Yeah.
Arkansas podcasts too.
Yes, and they both are newer podcasts as well. So.
Yes.
Anyway, I think that's all I've got.
That sounds good to me. Thank you guys for joining live. Thank you guys for following and listening. We appreciate every listener we have from the bottom of our heart and love you guys.
Anyway.
Stay spooky, stay curious.
Yeah. Hearts. This is
Hearts.
Widow. Anyway. Mr. Cracker, send us off.
Gotta have the Arkansas ducks sending us out.
Anyway, we gotta go.
Catch y'all next week. Peace.
Uh-oh.
What'd you do? Okay.
I don't know what it's doing. See,
Did you stop the thing from recording?
it's about to be. You need to quit being so mean.
Dealey wants to say hi. You want to say hi, Dealey?
Say bye, Dealey.
Say love you guys.